G'day legends, welcome back to the channel. Hope you guys are all doing well out there and welcome back to another edition of Show Us Your Tips for Wednesday the 1st of May. I cannot believe it is May already. We are very closely crawling up on halfway through 2024 and that is a terrifying thought for everyone involved, I'm sure. Look, we had a pretty good week in the tips last week. It wasn't too bad. We copped a 7 out of 9. Not too bad. I'm sure it was a pretty easy week. I saw most people would have got a pretty good score. I think 7 seems like about par. So definitely not hanging our hat on that or anything like that. But look, I got a feeling that this week tips are going to be much harder. We've got an absolute cracking round of footy coming up. Some belters of games. We got the showdown. We got Collingwood Carlton, traditional VFL rivals. We got the Battle of the Bridge for the Sydney Siders. It is going to be an absolute rip snorter. So we're going to get stuck into those in just a moment. Before we do, you guys know the drill by now. Links to the socials, the eBay store, downstairs in the description. Make sure you get around that at your leisure. And yeah, let's get stuck into these games. Alright guys, yeah, look, as I said, round 8 is going to be an absolute corker and we are kicking things off with the showdown. What a way to start things off. Adelaide versus Port Adelaide on Thursday night at Adelaide Oval. Geez, that was a lot of Adelaides. Look, this is going to be a really interesting game. Obviously, no Power Pepper for the Power, suffering that ACL last week. So, you know, pull one out for your boy SPP. Hopefully his recovery goes all well. Also really interested to see how Rosie goes after, a hamstring last week, which is, I've never heard of a 0-week hammy before, but look, hopefully he can get through the game. I'm obviously a bit biased. I am an owner in fantasy, and I'm just hoping a vest doesn't come his way because that would be absolutely disastrous. But look, also, look, there's the other point in this one is we got Dan Curtin finally making his debut for Adelaide. Great young kid out of WA from the Claremont Footy Club, I'm pretty sure. So it'll be a big watch on him. He had an absolute ripper of a first game in the Sandful last weekend and has definitely earned his spot. So looking forward to see how he goes about it. Look, tough one to call on this one. Look, it's one of those games, the showdown doesn't really seem to matter where these teams are on the ladder. They always seem to pull out an absolute corker of a game. Kind of, I think, what the Derby kind of wishes it was, in a way, saying that as a proud West Australian. But look, even though, look, like I just said, the ladder position shouldn't really matter too much, I do think Adelaide seem to be in a little bit of a hole. They had a great win last week, but it was against North, so, not reading too much into that. And Port are a very strong team. They're, looking like they're going to be somewhere thereabouts, like a top 4 side come the end of the year. So I'm going to lock them in, but I do think it's going to be a close game. So I'm going to lock the Power in by 8 points. I think that seems about fair for this one. And then, yeah, moving on, we got Friday night footy, the old traditional VFL rivalry of Carlton versus Collingwood at the MCG. Again, this is going to be an absolute cracker of a game. Look, the Blues look really good. I tipped them again last week and they lost. I did have to present the Carlton meme to the group chat that I told you guys about last week. So tail between my legs kind of stuff from me last week. And look, this game has huge ramifications for Collingwood. If they lose this game, they're going to go a game and a half clear outside the 8. They're going to be a game and a half off the 8, I guess is probably a better way of saying that. And look, while it is only round 8 and we are only a third of the way through the year, it's going to be a big fight back for them to make ground on teams like Freo, Essendon and Carlton, who are making up that bottom half of the 8. So look, it's going to be a tough one. I do think the Blues are going to get it done. I'm going to go against my better judgment and tip Carlton again by about 2 and a bit goals. Yeah, 15 points sounds about right for me. And then we're going to move on to the first game on Saturday, which is the Battle of the Bridge at the SCG. That's right, we got the Swans taking on the Giants. This is going to be another ripper of a game. We got second versus third. How good is AFL in Sydney going, by the way? So yeah, it should be a really interesting game. There is a forecast for a lot of rain apparently on Saturday in Sydney. Look, with the smaller ground of the SCG and the rain coming in, it seems to me it's going to be a very contested game. A lot of stoppages, a lot of repeat stoppage work. And look, it's going to be very interesting to watch. I'm expecting a huge game from Tom Green here. And I also think that, look, Sydney have got some good small forwards as well in Papley and co. But I think the Giants small forwards are also going to have a day out. Obviously, you got Toby Green. Hopefully, young Darcy Jones keeps his spot as well. He looked absolutely electric last week. And I'm tipping my boys, the Giants, to get it done. I'm a big fan of the Giants this year. I do think it's going to be close. I think it's going to be a really good game, but I've got the Giants getting it done by 5 points for the Battle of the Bridge. And then we're moving on to a game that is not so interesting. We've got St Kilda taking on North Melbourne at Marvel Stadium. Pretty straightforward here. The Saints suck, but North suck way more. So I'm going to lock the Saints in by about 3-4 goals. Let's say 20 points. I think that feels about fair to me. Next, we're moving on to the D's taking on the Cats at the MCG. This is actually going to be a pretty good game. I don't know if I can keep tipping against Geelong. I said it last week. I tipped against them and they won again. So this is going to be the week. I'm going to tip the Cats here by about 3 goals. I think one plus side for Melbourne. I think Gawn is going to absolutely dominate here up against Reece Stanley. If it's Reece Stanley who ends up playing, I'd like to see the Cats bring in their rookie ruckman. What's his name? Conway. But look, we'll see what happens with that. I actually put I don't bet very often, but I put a cheeky bet on the Cats halfway through last weekend. I think they were paying about $1.90 to get the job done. So I put a cheeky little bet on that one. So I got to tip the Cats, right? I got to tip the Cats. I think they'll get it done by a couple of goals. So yeah, let's lock that in. Geelong by 12 points. And then we're moving on to the last game on Saturday. Saturday night footy. We've got West Coast taking on the Bombers at Optus Stadium. This will be a pretty good game. Look, Eagles ran out of steam last week. They were good for sort of 2.5 quarters, I'll say. And look, you know, no Tom Barrass, no Harley. I can't believe we're saying that no Harley, that this first-year player has put so much of a, you know, has done so much well for West Coast that we're saying that not having him out there is a big deal. But look, I think we were targeting this game for a win. I don't really think maybe that was the play in hindsight now. I think resting Harley last week was a good idea, and I think that's fine. I have no qualms with that whatsoever. But yeah, look, I don't think we're going to get the job done here. I got to give the Bombers credit. They are much better than I thought they were going to be this year for sure. They definitely look like a team that could be finals bound for the first time in a little while. Hell, they might even win one. They do have contract year Jake Stringer in the team, so anything is possible. Look, I just make every year a contract year for Jake Stringer. Give him 1 year contract after 1 year contract after 1 year contract until he retires, and then hopefully you get the best out of him because he seems to be lifting that team, and it's good to watch. It's good to watch. Look, I really want to tip the Eagles here, but I just don't think I can do it. I'm going to tip the Bombers here by about 3 goals. Look, I just got to give credit to the Bombers. They're sitting 7th on the ladder. They've had some good wins, and you know, so far they're looking a better side than West Coast at the moment. All right, moving on to Sunday footy now, and we've got Freo taking on the Tigers at the MCG. This one will be pretty straightforward for me, I think. Look, Richmond aren't much chop at the moment. It's just sort of where they're at. And also, my main one with this one as well, right? So, Freo have got a nice, decent, got a pretty good tall forward line at the moment with Tracy and Jai Amos, you know, and Luke Jackson chopping out down there as well. So, look, and given the fact that Richmond have a very thin back line, or tall defensive stocks are very thin for Richmond at the moment, I just don't see a way that they can really stop the Freo forward line here, and I'm tipping the Dockers to have a pretty easy win here, about 6 goals. I think that's pretty straightforward, that one. Not too many arguments for that. Moving on to another pretty straightforward game here. Look, there's not really much to say about this game, to be honest. The Hawks suck. The Dogs are hit and miss, but I don't think even Hawthorn, you know, if they put a good game together, I don't really think they're going to get near it with the Dogs at the moment. The Dogs should be really eyeing off a finals chance and have probably underperformed so far this season. And yeah, look, I'm going to lock the Dogs in. Again, pretty straightforward, by about 6 goals. Should be a pretty easy game for the Dogs to get it done. And then rounding out Round 8, we've got the Q Clash, the worst name for an interstate derby in the league. This is going down at the Gabba on Sunday afternoon. And look, this is a tough one to call. Another really tough game to call. Look, I think Brisbane are the better side. I think Gold Coast are playing much better footy though. So look, I think I got to lock in. I think I got to tip my boys. I think I got to tip the Suns here. I know a lot of people are tipping Brisbane. I feel like Brisbane are getting tipped on reputation alone, but they're 2-5 and they are absolutely nowhere near it. The Suns, on the other hand, yes, look, they haven't won a game outside of the Gold Coast yet, but this one's an hour and a half up the road, and you know, really the conditions should be pretty similar. I'm tipping the Gold Coast Suns to get it done here in a pretty close one though. In a really close one. I'm really hoping that we get the Dane Zorko versus Tuke Miller matchup again. That should be a good fun watch. But look, Suns to get the job done by let's say 1 goal. All right, guys, that rounds out the tips for round 8. Look, let's see what happens. It's gonna be a strange round. I think there's, like I said, there is about 4 or 5 games here that could go either way, and probably about 3 or 4 games that are gonna be absolute blowouts. But look, thanks for tuning in, guys, for another week. That's the tips for round 8. Good luck with your tipping, your bets, and your fantasy all weekend. And yeah, we'll see you in the next one. Cheers, guys. Ta-da.